mean, it's like you are able to go to the beach almost all year round, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's still warm and very sunny and lucky us.
No,
Yeah.
not lucky, because it's pretty. I have to water my vegetable garden.
Well, so it should rain from midnight to 6 o'clock in the morning. The rest of the day, let the sun shine.
Right. Well, you know, as far as I remember, because I have been to Israel in November, December, and January, that when it rains, one thing is everybody is very happy when it rains because you have not that much water. So that already, you know, it's not, people's minds are not going like, oh, it's raining again. And that's one thing. And then it rains for maybe 2 days. And the next day it was again around 20 degrees and sunshine and very pleasant. Okay. Shall we start, or does Tomer have to say something? I mean, you know, all the people who are listening here, they already know what you have to say, but you can still say it if you want.
Yes, I will make it short just for the protocol. Okay, so hi everyone. We're continuing our teaching on Lam Rim with our teacher, Ani Losang. My name is Tomer. I will be the host. So just a short reminder, well, if you can, please keep your camera open, so we'll have a nice atmosphere. This meeting and all the previous meetings from these teachings are on YouTube, on the DFI Israel channel. And well, and one more thing, of course, is that all our activities are done by volunteers and financed only by donation, by Dana. So if you want, you can open your heart and practice generosity. You can do so in the webpage in the Dharma Friends website. And I will also send the detail, so how you can do PayPal or bank transfer, whatever you choose. I'll send the details through chat. So that's all. Maybe have a very beneficial day, and thank you, Anina, for teaching us.
Oh, you're very welcome. We're not really teaching, we're meditating, isn't it? So what we're trying to do is to go through the Lam Rim, step by step, in a more contemplative way. I don't know how this will work while you are at home, because usually we do that, you know, in a retreat setting. But anyway, we do our best, and we do as we can. One thing is very important, because especially this today, tomorrow is more like bodhicitta, opens the heart, is compassion, so it's a bit more light. So today we have to think about the more unpleasant things. So try to really give yourself the permission not to push anything, not to, you know, if it gets too much because you have been in difficult situations lately, then sometimes when the mind is really stressed and really tense, it's not the best thing to meditate on these things. So you become your own master, you make your own decisions, how much you want to follow, how much you think, like, oh no, thank you, this is too much. Especially when we meditate on impermanence and death. So that's what I wanted to say. And then there is, you know, usually if you have a lot of time to do these meditations, then there is the preparation almost is kind of longer than the reflection itself, like, you know, refuge and working with the body and kind of invoking the Buddhas and having the refuge visualization with all beings around you and all this. So we'll do it a little bit in the first session, but then maybe not in the other ones, because I don't want to go blah, 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 blah the whole day for you. But it's good to do, because then the mind, after a while, it does it automatically and you don't need so much time anymore to do it. And it is really beneficial because it's a bit like the marathon, kind of doing the warm-up. But you see, we Westerners, we're so kind of in a hurry all the time, and we don't have that much time. So we don't really want to spend that much time on it, which is a bit of a shame. And another thing with this is because, of course, you have very traditional texts how to do that. Like you take refuge, you generate bodhicitta, you do the four immeasurables, you do the 7 limbs, you offer a mandala, maybe even, you know, if you do have time, if it's the Lam Rim, you go through the lineage prayer, which is like 5 pages or something, with all the names from Shakyamuni Buddha, all the different lineages. Maybe some of you know it. If you have time, then you do that. So because it's official texts or traditional texts, the danger is that it just becomes, you read it, but your mind is somewhere totally else. So sometimes I think, especially for Westerners, when we take refuge, instead of just going, I take refuge, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I'm enlightened, and so on, you make your own words. Because what we want to do, we want to experience something. Like, as Tenzin Palmo says it in a very nice way, all you have in your head, you have to bring it down to your heart. So, I was just swallowing. So we have to kind of bring it down. And when it's in your heart, then you feel that it has an effect. Now, the effect that it has is not huge in a short time, but it will become huge if we give ourselves the time not to have expectations that it should work immediately, and just to be happy to be exposed to these methods, to listen and to plant seeds in our mind. And then, a little bit like when you have a garden and you're planting seeds in the springtime, right? And then you water them. So then you go home and you rest. So, and you're happy because something is put in your garden, so something will ripen, maybe, if the conditions are right. And but that you've done your job. And then your own mind will start to transform slowly, also according to conditions, according to karma, according to many, many things. As we said, yesterday we had the same discussion as I was coming home from the meditation in Martigny. Kind of, Jacques was asking me, why is not everybody doing this? I don't understand why people cannot work with their own mind. So this is what we said, you have to have the karma to be able to do that and the outside conditions. Okay. So we'll spend a little bit of time with the preparation. So if you can make yourselves comfortable, sit kind of in a meditation posture, if that's at all possible, because if you do have a straight back, it is much easier for the mind to concentrate. Concentrate, maybe not the right word, for the mind to be calm and open, let's say like this. It's more awake. But you have to be comfortable. This is almost more important than the straight back. I still remember Geshe Sonam Rinchen at the library in Dharamsala. Then when he was looking at us, when he was leading the meditation, he was saying, come on, you guys, if you don't put any effort in putting the body right, how are you going to put your mind right? So it's like the body is much easier to put right. And try to feel, like, again, try to experience the difference when you sit too comfortable, just, leaning against something like that. And then make your back free so that it can kind of sway a bit. And try to feel the difference in your mind state, actually. And it's just like everything else, it is just a habit. So you connect with the body. You experience it as you're breathing in, as you're breathing out. Very quick method, very fast method to relax and to open is with each out breath. You imagine that your body becomes bigger, wider, and very open and very spacious. And then again, to become a bit softer, bring some friendliness into this whole exercise here. And again, Notice the difference. Not to be too stern, not to be too strict, not wanting anything, but being happy about being able to do this. And then this whole thing also, it has to become meaningful. So we need to know why we are doing this, because it's not so pleasant. You know, if you just want to have pleasure, it's easier to take some substances that make the mind and the body relaxed and open. So talking about the Lam Rim, the graduated path to full awakening, so that's not really how you start at the beginning with your practice. What we first have to be aware of is the Four Noble Truths. So you all know them, you're all practitioners. And so basically, this first step is just I want to get out of samsara. I don't want to, and what does it mean? Is it a place? It's kind of, we have to have an attitude of being fed up by being under the control of our unhelpful emotions. Anger, attachment, greed, confusion, seeing things the wrong way, being very self-centered, all of this. We have to understand that these are the causes for suffering. And this is why our life is not as satisfying as it could be, because when we act them out, then at one point, sooner or later, you know, it's like a boomerang. One thing is we repeat the action with the same kind of emotion or mental factor. The other thing is like the same thing is happening to us. And this is definitely not satisfying. But then also we need to have the confidence that we can free ourselves from being under the control of our unhelpful mental state. So you connect with this yearning of being well, of being free, of being peaceful, of knowing directly, unmistakably, being free of confusion. We can feel that. Not just a thought in your brain. It's a very natural yearning that every being has. To be free from suffering and to be happy. And then when we have at least a good intellectual understanding of life is not as satisfying as it could be, when we ask why is that, we see the causes is our unhelpful mental states and the actions that we have created, karma and delusions. When we start to have faith and trust that we can be free from those mental states, then it's the fourth noble truth. We need a path. And then we come to the Lam Rim. Which is very clear instructions how we can go step by step. They're not difficult to understand, they are just difficult to do. So in order for all these topics in the Lam Rim, for them to go from the head to the heart, we need to listen first. We need to think about it, whether this is something that I find helpful and I really want to do. And then we reflect on it, or we meditate with a calm, open, awake mind. So then another thing that we very often forget is about blessing or inspiration. So again, we're very intellectual, we trust science, and we want to do things alone. We kind of miss out on the blessing, on the inspiration that come from all these beings that have realized these steps. So now what you can do, just invoke somebody or an energy that really inspires you. Usually it's Shakyamuni Buddha and your guru, that we unify. Just feel the presence. Maybe it's, your guru or His Holiness the Dalai Lama. You can even imagine the being is standing behind you and puts his hands on your shoulder in a very protecting, in a very caring way. And then you start to understand the word blessing. When you start to think or visualize like this. Understanding that the Buddhas are always there. And when you visualize the Buddha or you think about your guru, you're protected. Because your mind is open, trusting, full of gratitude and joy. And then you would take refuge. And I'm really asking you to do this in your own words. So that it's not just, Lama Zopa was saying lately, taking refuge, you don't do it like a robot, just repeating words. Taking refuge is trusting these methods. Being happy that we have access to these methods. But also trusting our own potential to attain that same state. So again, there's a happy feeling. Don't get stuck in your negative states of mind. It's not our nature. It's just the clouds in the sky. And then for it to become really meaningful, we think, why am I doing this? Why am I taking refuge? Do I want to do this just for myself? If then I have all the qualities like my guru or His Holiness the Dalai Lama, am I just going off and enjoying myself somewhere? Or do I want this to be of benefit to others? And then we feel that we have a very natural quality that we want to share, that we want to be of benefit to others. It's almost a need that we have, because we understand how dependent we are on others for our happiness and well-being. And this is the best way we can repay that kindness, by becoming fully awakened and guiding them to that same state. So that would be kind of the preliminaries, or the start of the preliminaries, to do an analytical meditation. There's much more to it. But then what is also important is to focus the mind. So I let you now 5 minutes. You find your object of shamatha, or mental quietude. And as much as possible, you keep your awareness there, without pushing, without forcing, but also not too slack. You all know how that works. So then when the mind has become calm and open, then we would start with the reflection. And maybe another thing, if you find that by sitting, the mind actually gets more agitated, nowhere it says that you have to sit. Of course, we have the 7-point Vairocana posture and all this. But then you have to force the mind to also sit still. There's no point. Then you can do awareness of walking, or moving very mindfully, or swaying, or something like that. Especially if your life is very full and very busy, mind is not in a very good state, you find it difficult to relax. Don't force yourself to sit. Not much point. And just knowing that we shouldn't force relaxes the mind. Okay, so as a basis for our reflections, we will take the foundation of all good qualities, that very short Lam Rim text. And we reflect on these verses. So the first one, of course, we can read it together if you want. The foundation of all good qualities is the kind and venerable Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. Okay. So again, what effect does the Guru have on our mind? How can you feel that? It's by thinking about your Guru, or as I said, imagine the Guru being in the room or standing behind you and putting his hands or her hands on your shoulder. It's so important to feel that care, that connection. If your Guru is the perfect Guru, as we read in the text, the qualities of a Mahayana teacher, that's probably the only person except your parents in the world that you can really trust that he or she only wants your best. That even though they give us difficult tasks, but they don't do that so that we fulfill their project. They don't do that to earn money. They only do that so that they help us to stretch our borders, so that we can grow and we have more courage. It talks about devotion in the verse. It talks about respect. So the respect comes very naturally when we see their qualities. So think about the qualities of either your Guru or His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Again, watch or notice the influence on your mind. And devotion we develop by seeing their kindness. They're fully awakened beings. They wouldn't have to manifest in a human body. But they do this again and again and again and again in order to guide me and all other sentient beings to a state which is free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And we need them as source of inspiration. So that we see it's possible to have a human body and a mind that is in this human body that is not under the control of self-centeredness, of confusion, of anger, attachment, and so on. Okay, so the guru can be Shakyamuni Buddha. It can be a living being. It's somebody that we get methods from so that we can train our mind. And the Buddhas are always there. We just keep forgetting all the time. Then we want to attain that state of a fully awakened being. So first we need to see, do I have what I need to go on this path? So that's the second topic in this Lam Rim text. Understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once, is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly day and night takes lessons. So when you reflect on that, day and night takes its essence, and we are anyway beings that kind of always think that we're not doing enough because we want to be perfect, then that sounds really stressful. But the night practice is when you go to sleep with an attitude of bodhicitta, or thinking about your days, practicing mind training, studying, listening, reflecting. And so you can go to sleep with a very happy mind because you know that you planted good imprint. When you wake up in the morning, after the night, whatever happens today, may it be of benefit to everybody I meet, I see, I touch, to everybody that hears me, everybody that sees me, everybody that touches me or talks about me. During the day, we remind ourselves of that attitude or motivation we generated in the morning. Then we are practicing day and night. And we're taking the essence of that precious human rebirth. Just think these thoughts now. And again, notice the effect. Because when we notice the effect, then the neurons start to wire. So to fire, and then to wire, as Rick Hansen says. So when we keep the awareness on it, on the firing of the neurons, then they will wire together and it becomes a habit, it becomes an attitude. Instead of others should be there for me, may I be there for others. Just the attitude. Then, the actions will naturally follow. We don't have the attitude and we want to do bodhisattva actions, it's not going to work. So whoever hears me, sees me, touches me, thinks about me, talks to me, talks about me, may it only be of benefit. And the firing, you will not feel it in your brain. You will feel it in the center of your upper body. So again, when we think about precious human rebirth, we very often forget the word precious. And this is where this question comes from. Why isn't everybody practicing that? Because we keep forgetting that not every human rebirth is precious. I think you all know, like the 8 freedoms, the 10 endowments, so we don't have to go through them. I would rather that we reflect on these three aspects or characteristics of a precious human rebirth. It is precious, it is rare, and it is fragile. So the first line, understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once. It's not quite true, because we must have had a precious human rebirth before, because otherwise we would not be sitting and doing this. Because it's only with a rebirth that has the 8 freedoms and the 10 endowments that we again find the causes and conditions so that we can continue to practice. And we should treat it as if it is found only once, so that we're not wasting it. It is precious, or here it says, it is greatly meaningful. Why? Because with a situation with the 8 freedoms and the 10 endowments, we can attain an utter good rebirth only with a situation like this, otherwise not possible. We can attain liberation, and for sure we need the conditions to be able to attain liberation. It's not going to happen just by itself. And we can attain full awakening. We can fulfill our fondest wishes. We have the condition. Because we're free of excruciating pain. We can fulfill or satisfy our needs of like food and drink and other things that we need to survive. We have interest in practicing the Dharma, so we're free of being just kind of interested in pleasure and stuff like that. We're also free in being born in a place or in a situation that is too good. We have faith and trust in our own potential and in the methods that they will work. We have a Sangha around us that practices with us. We have living examples who are living this, and so on. We do have the conditions, and we can make this meaningful by applying the method. That's why it's precious. It is more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel. Today, one would probably say it is more precious than an unlimited Visa card, because you can enjoy your unlimited Visa card until you die, but then it's finished. You can't take it with you. With the precious human rebirth, we can create the causes for liberation and full awakening. This we take with us to our next. Okay, so it is precious, it is rare. It says it's difficult to find again, or is found only once. Maybe you remember the causes for a precious human rebirth. So if one hasn't created the causes, one might have a human body, but one has no access to practicing the Buddha Dharma. So the causes are having practiced pure ethical conduct in the past. So that means we've already done that. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. Having practiced generosity. So we've done that in the past life. We didn't create the causes for precious human rebirth in this life. We created the causes in a past life. We must have practiced patience, like not retaliating even though we could have done. Not getting angry at people who harm us. We must have practiced love. We must have practiced honoring the ones that are worthy to be honored. All these are practices in order to attain precious human rebirth, and probably the most important one, that we have made aspirations, very conscious aspirations, to attain a situation like this again in the future. This is why, this almost last verse here, it is so important to internalize that verse. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and paths. May I quickly attain the state of Ajadar. If that is firmly in our mind, we don't have to worry about death and dying. This is like an automatic pilot. So we come to the last of these characteristics, is fragile. Like we can lose it any moment, and this we do the next meditation, next reflection. Let's go back just to these three characteristics. So at the moment we should have a feeling of real joy, like having won the lottery of I don't know how many millions shekel. Sorry. How would you feel, 150 million shekel. Being aware what we hold in our hands, the preciousness of our situation right now, not tomorrow, not next week, whatever. Because it's fragile, it can end any moment, not just with death, but also outside conditions changing. Like, in Switzerland, they're starting to kind of make people afraid of in 4 or 5 years, we won't have electricity anymore. And they're starting already to paint scenarios, totally forgetting that if you live in Nepal in a village, there is no electricity and still people survive. Yeah. So, but it can happen, and then everything will become much more difficult because we will be so dependent on war breaking out, natural disasters, whatever. We can lose interest. So this is why it is fragile. Precious, it can attain liberation and full awakening. It is fragile. It can end any moment, not only with death. And it's very, very rare. This is why, already the Buddha, and now here Tsongkhapa says it's very rare, difficult to find again. So we shouldn't be surprised that only a few people are practicing it. But you are one of these few people. So again, How do you feel? If you don't feel anything, try to use words, because words will become emotions. Thought, words become emotions or mental factors. You can just think, oh, wow, I am so fortunate. And the way we change our mind is we keep thinking that again and again and again and again until we can internalize. Instead of being sad and wondering why other people are not practicing, for the moment, just be happy that you are one of those people with a rebirth that is precious, rare, and fragile. And then we appreciate. Because it is us, it is you. You have created that situation through your actions and attitudes in the past. It's not a gift from somebody. It's not coincidence. So now we make the decision. I want to use this in the best possible way without putting yourself again under stress and under tension. The purpose of my life is to be a kind person. Good enough. To have a good heart. Sometimes I fail, no big deal. I try again. This is the person of my this is the purpose of my life. To generate a good heart. Life becomes meaningful. And I can die without regret. Oh. Sorry if I frightened you. That was a bit too strong. I put the rubber, around the stick, but sometimes then I still hit at the side. Are you okay, everybody? Yeah? Are you okay? Are you happy? Very often I use the example, imagine being in prison. So being in prison is being born in a lower state, okay? Like, we have no freedoms, hell realms, or when you have a lot of pain, when you don't have resources to survive, when it's like being in prison because you don't have a choice. You can't do with your life what you want if you are in prison in the lower states. Like even if you're a dog like Dizzy, which Caro is holding, Dizzy has no choice. She has to do what Caro is deciding to give her as food. Dizzy cannot go to the fridge and take out what she wants to eat. And if Caro wants to hold her, then, well, maybe she can fight. But she cannot say what she wants. And if she's sick, if Caro is not taking care of her, then that's it. This is the freedom of the freedom that we have at the moment. So being reborn in the lower states is like being in prison. So we don't know where we came from, like last life. We have no idea what ripened at the time of death. We also don't know where we're going to. So, but at the moment, we should have this feeling, I'm out of prison. And on top of it, I have dug the tunnel myself. Yeah, I have created the causes for this rebirth. It's not a gift. It's not coincidence. It really has very specific causes. So it's like digging the tunnel out of the prison. So how would you feel? You dig. As you notice, like Dharma practice is hard work. So it's like digging tunnels. Then you're out. Would you go like, oh my gosh, it's raining. Or, oh no, oh, you wouldn't care about the outside situation so much. This is the kind of feeling that we should have when you meditate on the precious human rebirth. And this is why we have to keep doing it again and again and again and again. Because then we start to appreciate the situation. And then the Dharma practice becomes joy instead of becoming a duty. Oh, This prisoner who is out of prison he wouldn't be interested in going to eat pizza. He would think, where is a safe place where they cannot catch me again? And he would further take the hardships on him to kind of run and run and run further and further and further until he finds a secure place. And the only secure place, I'm afraid to say, is liberation and awakening. So he wouldn't say, okay, I dug my tunnel, I'm out, now I can enjoy. He wouldn't say that. He wouldn't even think of it. So the next session that we do is Impermanence and Death. So this is like, you know, the prisoner is out of prison, us now. We have all these freedoms and endowments. But now I hear the dogs behind me of the prison guards. So then again, maybe I got a bit distracted and I saw, oh, this movie, I want to go and see it. But then I hear the dogs and then I go, ooh, ooh, ooh. No, I better keep running. You see what I'm saying? These are attitudes, and these attitudes then will guide us in our practice. And then again, you know, sometimes we keep forgetting. And then again, we hear the dogs. Somebody else in our environment dies. Yeah, at the moment, I have quite a few people who are dying around where I am. So then it reminds me of my own mortality. And then again, I go like, wow, I'm so fortunate, you know, to be able to prepare for death. This is amazing. I mean, how many people can do that? And you are one of them. And this is what we're going to do next session. So, but now we have a 20 minutes break until 1:15. Your place is 1:15 what? Now, anyway, until 1:15, whenever it is. Thank you. And then, so again, try to see what you're doing in your break. So training awareness, just knowing what you're doing. Mind is in a shitty state, mind is in a good state, noticing it, not reacting to it. That is training. When your mind is in a good state, oh, may all beings attain that good state, you know? Be able to remain in the good state of mind. When your mind is not in a good state, you go like, oh, may all beings be free from having such a difficult mind state that I have at the moment. This is the practice. Yeah, and it's so simple. We just have to remember to train these thoughts so that they become attitudes. Okay? So please enjoy your break. If you drink or eat something, then drink or eat it as if this is your last cookie or your last tea or your last whatever, because we don't know. See, we're all totally sure that we will, well, if you have planned to attain the next meditation, we are all totally sure that we can do that. How can we be so sure? It's total illusion. Yeah. So when you drink your tea, drink it. This could be my last one. When you eat a cookie, this could be my last one. Then you say thank you to all the people who make it possible for you to drink tea and to eat cookies, and then you practice. Okay? Are you happy? Oh, gosh. You know, if you would have won like 100 million shekel, you know, would you think your face would be the way it is at the moment? If I would ask you, are you happy? You would go, yeah.
I'm not sure.
No.
Okay. Then it's the wrong example. Then take an example that is worldly, that would make you very happy. I would be very happy about 100 million euro, I tell you. I would know whom to give it. I would definitely know. Not for myself, but also it's, you know, a lot of money is not necessarily a burden. It again, it depends what you make of it. I know rich people, Caro, maybe, you know, Patrick and Marianne, they're very rich people. They're so happy because they're giving it everywhere, especially for Dharma project. And they're both very, very happy. I would be very happy about 100 shekel, 100 million euro. Shekel would be okay also, I think. You know, so enjoy your break.